Hi guys, and welcome to this video on the full moon in Capricorn that happens on the 24th of June 2021 at 7:39 in the evening, and that's based on Europe time. So take the time zone into account if you're in a different part of the world. But like I always say, don't get too hung up on the timings because the full moon is something that happens gradually. It's not like a 1 minute. So I think you'll feel this around the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of June 2021. The full moon is a great time when the moon is totally illuminated, and it seems to influence us quite strongly, and that's because it's letting go of the energy that it's been building up to for this 28-day period. And it gets to a point where it says, okay, I've achieved something this month. I've done what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to let go of all of this energy. And we really feel it quite strongly because it's so present, and it doesn't hang on to anything. It doesn't pull anything in. It instead pushes it away. It lets go of it. So we're going to feel a lot of Capricorn energy. And what's nice about this, with the chart being drawn up from my location and at this specific time, the moon is just underneath the rising. The rising sign, also called the ascendant, represents sunrise in or dawn in the chart. So the rising sign is sunrise, the midheaven is noon, the descendant is sunset, and the IC is the middle of the night. So with the rising sign, that's kind of like this energy of a new day. It's what's to come. It's what's going to happen in future. What is the fundamental core energy associated with this? And with the moon sitting just under that, it kind of occupies this twilight space during the day. So it's able to use its Capricorn earthy energy and apply it to anything that doesn't quite make sense. It's like the in-between places of the world, and it's able to translate those into something that's really simple and grounded and easy to work with. And the full moon in itself isn't particularly mysterious or twilighty. It's full on. It's like, here I am, look at me. I have built myself up to this position of real strength. And that in Capricorn gives you a lot of energy that says, I can do it. I can, if I put my mind to it, if I roll up my sleeves and if I get down to work, then I can really achieve something. But it's at 3 degrees. And 3 in numerology is the mind, it's communication, it's new beginnings, and it's looking to the future. So you're able to source all of this work that you're going to do, not only from the practical things in your life, so what you've already got, my job, my house, my body, my schedule, my diet, the people in my life, the things I'm working on. You're also able to look at the things that don't quite make sense. What if this could become something? What if this dream I've had for a long time, what if I actually do something practical with it and manifest it into my real life? So this isn't as black and white as you'd expect, because Capricorn is very much about working towards something and sorting the good from the bad, saying this is practical, this is going to get me somewhere, and this isn't practical, so let's ignore it or push it to the side. It gives you the patience and the presence of mind to say, okay, if something seems a little bit like it potentially has some, it has some value, but I don't quite see it yet, it gives you this ability to look at something like that and to play the tape forward and to say, well, what could be? I'm open enough to experiment a little bit and to say, just because something isn't real right now, doesn't mean it has to stay unreal. I could make it real. So it gives you a great sense of possibility, and it makes you very tolerant when it comes to things that seem impossible, but that actually aren't. So you're much more of a dreamer, and you're much more creative and imaginative when it comes to what your future circumstances could look like, and you're willing to work with things that don't have a guaranteed outcome. And that is amazing, because sometimes we have to take risks in life. Not everything is going to be presented as, this is 100% guaranteed to work out. In fact, most things aren't like that. You just have to kind of muddle your way through and see what works and what doesn't. And rather than just muddling your way through on a practical level, what usually helps is listening to your gut, because your gut is 100% guaranteed, your intuition, because that loves you and wants you to have this fabulous life. And if you try and align yourself with that and do what it tells you, then things tend to work out. That's why I'm always banging on about meditate, and 444 in my username on like social media and stuff. Because to me, 444 represents this notion that you're trying to figure out what this invisible loving realm wants for you, and then you're translating it into something real. So it's being willing to work with something that knows more than you and knows what you really need and what's really going to work in your favor. So the sun is on the descendant on the other side of the chart. The sun is your identity. It's what really fulfills you and strengthens you and gives you a sense of, I can do this. Life is enjoyable. It's not overly difficult. If I apply myself, things will work out. I can shine my light and make a difference. It's really that sense of powerful optimism that says, yes, I can. It's also at 3 degrees in Cancer. So the 3 is the same, obviously, because the 2 are 180 degrees apart from one another. That's why the moon is fully lit up. Excuse me. And 3 is about looking at what could be and giving things new life. And the sun in Cancer really taps you into this loving energy that says, not only can I take care of the things that I have to in my life, I can take care of other people, but I can also take care of myself. Cancer is actually ruled by the moon. So that sun in Cancer really likes this connection with the moon because we're on the axis of Cancer and Capricorn. So think of the moon as this very ethereal, kind of nebulous force of your inner world and your intuition. Like in the tarot, it's quite a useful image because in the tarot, the moon is seen as this daunting card where everything looks different and you really have to listen to your gut to get through something. And things that during the daylight would look really simple and straightforward, at night, when the full moon is kind of illuminating things, they seem very different. It has a whole different vibe to it. So now we're taking that unusual vibe, and also it's a twilight. So you're able to really, you have your night vision goggles on here. You're able to look at things that don't make sense at all and that even seem scary and daunting, and oh, I don't want to go there because it's too much. Like difficult relationships or trauma of the past can be healed with this. Things that are really hidden and swept under the rug so you don't have to look at them anymore. You're able to navigate that, and with the 3 degrees, you're able to look at those things quite objectively, communicate about them and heal them. Then you're able to look at the twilighty stuff. That's not a word, but okay. And really look at what potentially could work, but it doesn't make sense right now. And you're able to look at your everyday circumstances and you're able to look at those and say, hey, if I tweak this a little bit, it could turn into something else. I can work with this. I know the concrete steps to solve this problem or to make this bigger or to realize it in truth. So it really gives you this wonderful perspective of not just being interested in one particular thing that's clear and really problem-free. You're able to navigate everything. So the inner workings of what's going on for you, the spiritual world, the physical world, the emotional world, relationships, so pretty much any aspect of your life. And remember that 3 is about expressing yourself as well. It's communication. So talking to yourself, having a word with yourself and saying, okay, what is important to me and where do I see little potentials for triumph and victory and success? How can I work with those now on this day or over this 3-day period and really get somewhere in my life? And getting somewhere as in, this is something that pleases me, this is what I want more of, how can I bring more of it into my life, or how can I make the existing thing bigger? So Cancer is often the domestic sphere, the home, the family, what it is you care about. And Capricorn is the public. It's your work. It's when you go to the office. And they meet, and what you feel and what you do are in perfect alignment, so you can really trust yourself. Because if you're going to be doing it, or if you find yourself doing it, it's likely something that is aligned with your true nature, or something that you care about, or something that's important to you. You're not that susceptible to going off the rails or completely missing the point, or doing something that someone else cares about, or losing yourself in this process. You're very likely, in fact, to find yourself through action, and also you're able to find yourself through your feelings, and they meet in the middle, really empowering you to be very productive and to get a lot done. The two strongest elements on the day, or in this moment of the full moon as well, are water and earth. And water is love and spirituality. Earth is practicality, money, work. And both of them are feminine elements, and they mean that you're very receptive to things going on around you. And you're kind of like a planetarium, being able to look at all the stars in the sky, and how they influence you. It's kind of like having a scientific approach to everything that's going on, and being like a control tower. That's what I mean. Like, you're the center of the universe, and you're the one who's supposed to decipher all these messages and influences, and to make meaning out of them. And you're very likely to be willing, or you're not likely to be overwhelmed by all this, because you have your ability to see at night, and to look through things that are hazy and that usually don't make sense, and to see things in the clarity of daylight. You're really able to work with everything and to make sense of it. So if your life doesn't make sense at all, if you're like, why do these things keep happening to me? Like, why does this same pattern just repeat itself over and over and over again? Then really look at that and do some inner work around it. Like, make a list of the past, like for instance, relationships or jobs that have been unsatisfying, or whatever it may be. And really look at the thread that runs through all of that. And look at either your part, in the sense of what you're willing to accept, or what you're able to take on board, or what why you are attracted to those things, or why you permit them to come into your life. It can really teach you a lot about boundaries, and what it is you really love, and what it is you've kind of been brainwashed into believing, or what you think you need to do for success and acceptance and love and all of those things. And the two main areas, even though you're able to get info from everywhere, the two main areas where you'll be able to make the most change is your emotional life with relationships and spirituality, and your work. So if those two areas of your life are problematic, or they don't make perfect sense, you'll get some sort of an idea that really clarifies. Okay, so the moon forms a couple of relationships with other things in the chart. So first of all, it's sitting on the ascendant. The ascendant is in Capricorn at 0 degrees. Now, when something is at 0 degrees, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of astrologers say, you know, because each house in the chart has 30 degrees. So when something is at 1 degree or 29 degrees, it's said to either take on the properties of the next sign, because it's right on the border, right? And some other people, myself included, say that sign and energy then becomes really powerful. Because in my experience, things don't shift from one thing easily and without effort. Usually change involves claws. It's like, okay, I'm about to change sign. I'm going to dig in my heels, my claws, and get the most out of this before I move on. So that's why, so for instance, if you're Sagittarius at 1 degree or 29 degrees, I would say you're even more Sagittarius, because it's like, ah. At 0 degrees, I think you get the quintessential kind of placid energy of that sign after this process of trying to hang on. So with this being at 0 degrees in Capricorn, it's the calm, natural energy of someone who says, my purpose in life is to be productive and to work. And it naturally aligns you with that energy that says, if I look within, or if I look at my circumstances, then the natural outcome is that I'll have something to work with, and I'll be able to resolve issues, and I'll be able to progress. So you're really a worker bee, in the sense that I am, therefore I will get things done. I work, therefore I am. The moon then forms a sextile with the midheaven in Scorpio at 1 degree. The midheaven in the chart traditionally shows what you're doing at noon, okay? And the thinking behind that is that what you're doing at noon is what you're naturally aligned with work-wise, because most people are busy doing something at noon. They're busy listening to their true nature. So Scorpio is a fabulous sign that's really about diving to the bottom of the pool and saying, this is the root cause, or this is the thing that's hidden. And I'm not going to be frightened of it. I'm going to bring it to the surface and see what I can do with it in the daylight. It's about light and dark. It's ruled by Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, transformation and change. So it's about extremes. So I really like that, because you're able to transform something that doesn't make sense into something that makes sense. Something that's hidden, that becomes crystal clear. Or something that seems crystal clear and shallow with very little meaning, and you're able to see the hidden depth in it. You're able to do it both ways. So with it being at 1 degree, 1 is the pioneer, it's drive, it's taking responsibility and saying, if something's going to happen, I'm going to do it. And that's very aligned with Capricorn, which says, if I want to get to the top of the mountain, I'm going to have to use my little hooves and climb there, right? So at 1 degree in Scorpio, you're willing to look at all of the complicated emotional stuff. And with the moon being at twilight, it really makes you like an occult detective who's able to take hidden information and to piece it together into something that's really crystal clear. Scorpio is also about healing. So it's not just transforming dark to light. It's about getting to the actual problem. So like, for instance, if you go to the doctors and they treat the symptom without looking at the root cause of what's going on for you, then that issue is likely to remain, right? Because you're just dealing with the symptom. But Scorpio goes to the root and it says, this is the fundamental cause for these issues I'm having. I've now identified that because I'm fearless and I'm willing to look. And then when you're willing to look, you're able to pluck that out by the roots, and you're really able to create some space or to resolve an issue once and for all. So that not only amplifies the energy of the full moon, it kind of gives you a magnifying lens so that you can see things really easily. So if something pops up for you internally, like you meet someone new and you get an immediate sense about that person, please listen to it. It's really, really, really likely to be on point. And if you do have a pattern of getting into relationships that don't work, for example, and you meet someone and you're like, oh, I know this music, this sounds very familiar, then really listen to that and don't say, I'll try it again and see if it works differently this time. Because you know. That's what this thing gives you, knowing and understanding. Okay, then we've got another sextile with Jupiter, 2 degrees in Pisces, and that really expands and amplifies your relationship with the unmanifest and the spiritual. So the 444 thing, listening to your higher self, your guidance, source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, that's really going to be easy. Because it's like you're face to face with it. You're able to decode those messages as such, and you're able to naturally understand them. So if you've struggled to hear your own guidance and to try and, because it's not easy for most of us. I mean, that's why we meditate, to try and get a better sense of what really is going on and what we're about. And Jupiter is the lucky planet. It's the biggest planet in our solar system, and it really simplifies that whole thing. 2 is a relationship, 1 and 2, they're together. And Pisces, also, if you look at the glyph of Pisces, it's like 2 faces looking at each other. So you're able to look at the stuff that doesn't usually come through loudly and clearly, and you're able to naturally know what it wants by feeling your way through it, if that makes sense. I call 2 sextiles and a trine a triangle of harmony. I don't think that technically, in terms of astrology, if you're going to do a course in astrology, that they would mention that, because I came up with it basically. Because a lot of astrologers look at oppositions and squares where there's friction, and trines and quincunxes and sextiles are less important. And when there's a triangle or three things working with each other, I feel that, you know, the actual things aren't weakened. So just because they're connected by two sextiles in a trine doesn't make it irrelevant. So I call this a triangle of harmony, because sextiles blend energies together nicely, and then trines do the same thing in a more distant kind of way. So Jupiter then trines the midheaven in Scorpio, and it kind of means that your ability to take the magnifying lens and to understand comes because you're naturally connected to source. It helps you decode that stuff. So it's not just seeing things, it's also on the other side. The processing structure within you works much better and allows you to get meaning out of things that usually would be very abstract. And that trine then comes around with the two sextiles connecting the moon in Capricorn, the full moon in Capricorn, and that allows you to take all of that info that seems very nebulous and to do something real with it. So you're really like a decoding machine on this day. Okay, then we've got the opposition with the sun, obviously. We've got, what else does the moon do? Nothing. So it's just those two sextiles, the opposition to the moon, and those are the only relationships it forms. So that's interesting because that's very straightforward. The moon isn't really, it's not really complicated by anything. We had that in one of the eclipses recently as well, that it was very straightforward. It's like you're being given a very specific niche energy which you can then use to make progress. There are other things in this chart that I just want to point out because they strike me as important, but technically they don't work with the moon. So we've got, do you see that big blue triangle? We've got three trines creating this big blue thing. And it connects the south node at 9 degrees in Sag with Sagittarius, with Mars at 8 degrees in Leo, and then another trine with Chiron at 12 degrees in Aries, and they create that big blue triangle. And that's called a grand trine. It's an area of real talent, and it's in the element of fire. And fire is about your life purpose and passion, okay? So the south node at 9 degrees in Sagittarius allows you not just to tap into information that doesn't make sense, it allows you to connect with yourself on a soul level. And even, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it even allows you to gain wisdom from your own past lives, from your own experience in this lifetime, and to weave it all together into something that really you can use. It's like a carpet. You weave all the different strings together, and then sooner or later you've got a nice rug to warm your feet. So it's kind of like that. You're able to use everything to progress in life and to make your way forward a little bit more pleasant and easier. Then Mars at 8 degrees in Leo is really full on. It's like, I know what I want and I'm entitled to get it. Thank you very much. And then Chiron at 12 degrees in Chiron at 12 degrees in Aries says, if I pursue what I want, and once I've thought about it and analyzed it, and then I say, this is it, I'm going to go for it, it's going to feel really empowering to you, and it's going to heal things that haven't worked in the past, and it's going to replace them with things that do work. We've got another grand trine in the chart. This one connects Jupiter in Pisces with the midheaven in Scorpio and the sun in Cancer. So the sun in Cancer is your willingness to take care of yourself and other people. Your midheaven in Scorpio is this willingness to look at the stuff that's scary. And Jupiter in Pisces is the support of the universe, helping you to navigate all of that stuff and to make sense of it. So fire and water, the water trine really gives you this sixth sense. It's like having an extra eye on your forehead in the position of the third eye chakra. It opens up on this day and you really see past all the tangible stuff. And because of the seeing, you're then able to do something with it practically via the moon. And just that knowledge that I can, if I want to, I understand things so I can change them, that's exciting. Like if my relationships don't work, ever, okay? And suddenly I've been banging my head against the wall about it for years. Why don't my relationships work? Why is this now? And then suddenly you have this realization which says, this is why. Then it's like, oh, I've got the answer. I can actually now do something with it, change it, and then hopefully my relationships will work. That's really exciting. So that's what this gives you. Okay, I'm just gonna like tilt my head to see if there's anything I'm missing here. So let's see. We've got those two grand trines. We've got a T-square between, a T-square is an opposition in two squares. It's like the triangle of harmony, but red, not blue. So the opposition between Mars and Saturn, and then two squares that include Uranus and Taurus. So Mars I've talked about, it's this real sense of drive. Saturn at 12 degrees in Aquarius. It even gives you the patience to source information about your life from other people and from institutions. So I've gone to university and got a degree in mathematics, so I must have some talent for maths. Or my neighbor says that I'm a lovely person, so maybe I am. It then squares Uranus at 13 degrees in Taurus. And again, those insights allow you to build new structures based on personal certainty. That's really what this is. It's having the ability to research and then using your research to build a fabulous, secure life for yourself. And it says it over and over again in different ways in this chart. Anything else? Let's see. No, I think that's it. Yep. That is it. The only thing I do want to mention, because it's on the same axis as the full moon and the sun, is Venus is in Cancer and then Pluto is in Capricorn. So Venus in Cancer is very loving and nurturing. At 27 degrees, that's 9. It's kind of like the hermit. So you have a lot of patience and time for yourself. And then Pluto, 26 degrees in Capricorn, is a powerful force that allows you to change things that are already set in stone. It's like the tower in the tarot, but in a positive way. Because you say, I don't want this tower, I'm going to blow it up, and then I'm going to build something else there in its place. So by loving yourself and paying attention to what's going on around you, you will receive information that allows you to build a better life. So a wonderful full moon. I hope you have a great time. If you would like a personal reading with me, I've covered everything that I wanted to, but I'm just going to close this down now because the bells have started going again. Which makes no sense because it's 8 past 10. Why ring them at 8 minutes past? Can someone tell me that? I don't know. Yes. I do personal readings. In my personal readings, I use astrology, tarot, and numerology. I use my intuition as well. And I combine all those systems to kind of answer questions that you have. So the way I read this chart, I'll read your chart in the same way in a personal reading. I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. And once I have that info, then I analyze the chart and it tells me a lot about you. Certain things that are highlighted and easy, where there's ongoing friction or things that are unresolved. I look at the progress chart, the transits, to see what's coming up for you in future. I also use astrocartography to look at locations that will work for you and that won't work for you. So if you're at a crossroads, if you have questions, if you want to get to know yourself better, if you have some decisions to make, you want to know when is a good time to do certain things, then please just get in touch with me for a personal reading via my website, gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to audio reading with me. And if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share the video online. Check out the weekly horoscope. So this is for this one moment during the full moon. The weekly horoscope, I just look at what's going on each day and I kind of go through that to see what kind of energy is coming up. And then I also do daily tarot readings to see what the tarot has to say about the influences. And I also make little personal videos on my little vlog playlist. So things in my personal life. And I also do that on Instagram, GregoryScott444, where I post certain things that I don't put on YouTube. So if you're interested, there's lots to check out. So please join the channel. Have a wonderful time here during the full moon. and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.